before you today, servant, deeply alarmed by the escalating violence against women, girls, and children in Kenya. This is not a private family matter. It is not an issue that concerns women alone. It concerns all of us. It could be your child, it could be your sister, it could be your wife or your mother or a friend you know. Therefore, it is a societal matter and it is a constitutional and governance crisis. The reality we are waking up to every day is of women assaulted, children abused, young girls violated, and women's lives cut short by senseless violence. We must therefore ask why the Kenyan state is failing in its most fundamental constitutional duty of protecting lives, dignity, security, and equal rights for its people. Women are more than half the population in this country. They are the backbone of our economy. You go to agriculture, you will find it's women sustaining it. You go to communities, it's women breaking their backs to sustain families and communities. Women are farmers, entrepreneurs, teachers, health workers, professionals in all cadres. They are public servants, and of course, they are leaders. Yet today, many women live in fear. It doesn't matter the social status. Our Constitution guarantees every person the right to life, equality, dignity, freedom from violence, and equal protection under the law. If you go to Article 27 of the Constitution, you'll see all this. These are not privileges. These are constitutional rights of every Kenyan, of every woman. We are not short of legal provisions. I dare say we have adequate legal framework. We have the Constitution. We have the Sexual Offences Act. We have the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act. We have the Victim Protection Act. We have the Children's Act, not to mention that we have the Penal Code, which governs criminal proceedings. The truth is that we have adequate legal framework.
Our problem, therefore, is not legislation. It is action. It is enforcement. The numbers. According to the 2022 Demographic and Health Survey, nearly 1 in 3 women aged 50 to 49 has experienced physical violence. Approximately 1 woman in 8 has experienced sexual violence. These are not just statistics, they represent millions of Kenyan women and girls whose rights have been violated. The Technical Working Group on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, chaired by the esteemed Dr. Nancy Barasa, concluded that Kenya is experiencing an alarming increase in gender-based violence and femicide. Despite progressive laws, we have weak implementation and institutional failures, and the rising impunity. These are the drivers of the escalation. We also have a governance crisis. Impunity flourishes in this country, and as a matter of fact, impunity flourishes when there is failure of leadership. So I will say here, Dr. Ruto and your administration, that impunity flourishes in Kenya because you have failed as leaders. This regime has failed, institutions are weak, and trust has been eroded. It's already been mentioned that we have this new phenomenon. I'm calling it new because it's the first time in the history of our country that we have seen goons operating side by side with police, hand in hand, entering police vehicles, assaulting people in full view of the police, warning people when police are standing nearby. We've also seen newly created factory, I would say factory main, Hieronymus, for the goons to use. And you see this all around the country. In fact, my dear was hit last week, so last Friday, at Mukung for intent, the real issue was shut up. It was by a press release which conveys to me that it's state-sponsored poll that did the harm. So this Kenyans now know wherever you see those wounds, you know who is behind it. How does this increase in violence against femicide? How does it get taken care of in packetry? Because every national budget is a statement of priorities. When we fail to invest in creation of jobs, in creating the atmosphere for business and private sector to increase jobs, we are laying foundation for increasing the number of jobless, for hopelessness, and that in turn breeds crime. And a pool where those with evil minds can easily recruit people to be goons. When we fail to adequately invest in education for our children, when we fail to reform policing, we concentrate on giving individualized security to the political elite, while not increasing policing for the community or changing the arrangements to make neighborhoods safe. When we fail to have shelters for those battered within the home, when the wheels of justice grind to a halt, and reforms are not addressed when they are budgeted, you breed lawlessness. I've already said that hopelessness and unemployment breeds crime and fuels gas, and we institutions are failure to enforce emboldens of criminals. Women, children, and elderly, the poor, are the most vulnerable, and they pay the highest price of these failures. We remember the Kwale gun site tragedy, horrifying discoveries of dismembered bodies of 40 women. The fact that the police dispersed volunteers who were searching the toilets for more bodies violently. The government did not send any of their experts to go and dig up and find whether there were any more bodies hidden in the quarry stand. To date, we will not know whether it was only 40 bodies or there were more. We have not forgotten that it was a few meters away from a police station, that even though they first arrested one person claiming he was the criminal, we know that it is not possible that one person would dismember and carry 40 bodies within a short distance from a police station alone. So one wonders, what was the purpose of bringing forward this one person and sort of stop the investigations? And how did that person walk out? I say walk out. They say he fled from Gigiri police station. The way I know Gigiri police station, it's not possible. He was simply let out. And we have not had any appearance of a criminal alleged to have murdered and dismembered 40 women. So what is the message to the public? Is that women's life don't matter. Femicide does not matter. What about us as society? We were horrified for a minute. You seem to have forgotten. The system was not shocked enough to cause a turnaround in how they police. And it looks like we were not shocked enough as a society to consistently hold the government to account and ensure that femicide is investigated, is punished, and the message is clear that every life matters. We will still continue to wonder, how could so many people disappear without timely intervention? How can dozens of dismembered bodies be found meters from a functioning police station? How could a key suspect reportedly disappear from a police station? All these are indications of failure at the highest level, failure at the political level of leadership in this country, the government, failure at the institutional level, the police, the investigators, and as society, failing to carry the trauma on a daily basis. We also have statistics regarding the crisis of disappearing children. Between January 2025, that is last year, and March of this year, that's about 15 months, 10,500 child protection cases were recorded. 1,600 children were reported missing. There were 2,000 abductions across the board. 6,800 abandonment cases of children, and 173 cases of child trafficking Behind every number is a child whose future is at risk. When the justice system has failures, these failures affect the most vulnerable and affect the entire society. Survivors face a fragmented response. We have already been told they are traumatized. Even in the courts of law, survivors are traumatized. I had a parent who called me about 2 weeks ago. The case of molestation of her child by a teacher was about to continue hearing. And her daughter, who is barely 14, was being required to testify in open court. That's a court of law. And the law is clear. Even for adult victims, the court can be requested that the evidence be given in camera, not with so many present. But imagine a child of 14 being asked to recount in a full court. So the matter was adjourned, and I believe that lawyers were sent to ensure that that child does not get traumatized in the course of pursuing justice. And what happens when survivors are traumatized is that victims draw quieter, because there will be wondering why should I raise my voice, only to become an entertainment for many, only to go mushing and suffering or pursuing elusive justice. When the society goes and says, we all suffer. I've already said that I was a victim of gun violence this weekend. We have seen how many leaders. So even if leaders alone are providing the security, it doesn't make the country secure. I would rather a situation where leaders suffer the same risks as the rest of the society, so that we together improve the security situation in the country. We demand, I will not make a call, it's a demand from the Ministry of Interior, headed by Kikuchuzu Omen, the Ministry of Gender, headed by my sister, Sheptumo, and the Inspector General of Police, Sakanja. The National Gender and Equality Commission because it exists to focus on matters affecting women. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. Women's rights are human rights. Abductees are human beings, and abduction is across the board. It's mainly young men. Children are all genders. We are demanding of all these institutions to rise to their mandate, to do something about it. If it's the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, it has powers to audit what is happening in institutions and cause action for redress. We call upon the administration of Dr. William Ruto to face their responsibility and take action to protect women and children and to address the issue of rising cases of violence against women and femicide. We are asking that the Dr. Nancy Panasa report does not gather dust on the shelves, as many reports do. We want the administration to publish a clear implementation framework with timelines and budget and measurable targets. We want to see the police move to action in enforcing the law. But in order to do that, they themselves must cease to be lawbreakers. They must not visit violence against citizens exercising their rights because we need to restore trust in the police service. We want to see prosecutions prioritized by the DPP. We want to see the courts give timely justice. And where we are saying, let the courts not be a holiday camp where people do minimum work. Let every judicial officer be accountable and let the judiciary, as a reform measure, have measurable targets for its officers. There must be an average a magistrate can do, an average a judge can do. There must be tracking of part-hard cases until judgments not delivered. It is possible to unravel the wheels of justice and to have cases heard real time. We must restore justice and confidence in the justice system and restore confidence that we are equal in the eyes of the law. We commend the police for, in a very short time, finding those who were suspected of having killed a member of parliament. But in the same breath, why can't they use the tools at their disposal to find those who are killing, dismembering women, those who are abducted? Why can't there be equal response for every Kenyan? That's what we want to see. To us as citizens, I say this affects us. If it affects you, it affects me. The men who are mainly the perpetrators, your fathers, your brothers, you are related to the victims. We are related to one another as the male and female gender. We are asking you to stand with the victims. Do not attempt to provide cover for a perpetrator, because that perpetrator will turn against somebody you know. Let us teach our voice respect. Let us teach mutual respect between the genders, even within our families, because the perpetrators are coming from our families. The religious leaders speak out boldly. Do not, because we know it happens, protect those among you who are predators of disappearing children. Between January 2025, that is last year, and March of this year, that's about 15 months, 10,500 child protection cases were recorded. 1,600 children were reported missing. there were 2,000 abductions across the board, 6,800 abandonment cases of children, and 73 cases of child trafficking. We are asking that the Dr. Nancy Barasta report does not gather dust on the shelves, as many reports do. We want the administration to publish a clear implementation framework with timelines and budgets and measurable targets. We want to see the police move to action in enforcing the law. But in order to do that, they themselves must cease to be law breakers. They must not visit violence against citizens exercising their rights, because we need to restore trust in the police service. We want to see prosecutions prioritized by a DPP. We want to see reforms with timely justice, and where we are saying, let the courts not be a holiday camp where people do minimum work. Let every judicial officer be accountable, and let the judiciary, as a reform measure, have measurable targets for its officers. There must be an average a magistrate can do, an average a judge can do. There must be tracking of what hard cases until judgments not delivered. It is possible to undraw the wheels of justice and to have cases heard. The religious leaders speak out boldly. Do not, because we know it happens, protect those among you who are predators. The first time in the history of our country that we have seen goons operating side by side with police, hand in hand, entering police vehicles, assaulting people in full view of the police, stoning people when police are standing nearby. We've also seen newly minted, factually, I would say factually made, rules for the goons to use. And you see this all around the country. In fact, my vehicle was hit last week, so last Friday at Muku for event. The vehicle which was shattered. It was by a freshly minted Royu, which conveys to me that it's Kate sponsored all that did the car. The past responsibility lies with the government for the protection of every person, and in this case, protection of women and girls against gender-based violence and femicide.